check. I mean, Just like studying Nice to see you again.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don Guglielmo.
Here.
Tim Clark is not here. Audra All. Here. Sarah Bashinsky. Here. Chris Belcher.
Here.
Ken Chester.
Here.
And Tara Ryder is not here as well.
Okay, the next on the list is acceptance of the agenda. We've opened the meeting. Is everybody familiar with the agenda? Can I get one motion to accept it? Sarah, can I get a second? Audra, all in favor? Good. Motion carried. I'm sorry, I have to log into this thing every 3.5 seconds. I've got it. Okay, Casey, do we have any community comments?
I do not.
Move on from there. And presentations. I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Parker.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having us. Always a pleasure to be here with your board. And we're excited, as always, to be able to have our students, your students, talk with you a bit this evening about their experiences in our programs. So we'll be talking to you this evening a little bit about the programs and the services that we offer. And of course, the highlight of the evening is having your students share with you their experiences. So thank you for having us, and we'll just take a few moments of your time. In front of you this evening, you do have just a one-pager on our Future Focus Facilities project, and you also have a one-pager on the services that we offer. I'd like to introduce here with me this evening, we do have Heidi Andrashevitz, and we also have Dave Petruska representing our board this evening. And I'd like to welcome Tony Muller and David Ashdown to get us started this evening, and in a few moments we'll be welcoming your students as well.
Great.
Tony,
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all again. It's a little cooler outside than the last time in the summertime when we were here a few times. Just about 20 seconds on this one pager. So these are other services. So on one side you'll see it has our CTE and our exceptional, Career and Tech Ed and exceptional learners, information about our programs, some of the statistics and the programs and the graduation. In addition to our instructional services on the back, you'll see our school support services and our administrative services. So we have everything from school library to enrichment to administrative services and helping with business functions of the district and health insurance, instructional technology. So everything that on the second side is to support what's happening in the classroom as well. So it's always about what's in the best interest for the students and to help them be prepared as possible through everything that you do. So we thank you for all of your support in all of those areas as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to David, who's going to introduce the best part.
Thanks so much, and what a privilege it is to be here, and an honor to introduce our students. If you could come up, that'd be great. I'm gonna make sure I have it not blocking the owl-shaped thing here. Yeah, we could just have you stand there. And if you could please introduce yourselves, your name, your grade, and the program, the BOCES program that you're in. Olivia?
My name is Olivia Madison. I am a senior, and I am in the BOCES New Visions Health program.
I'm Jackson Chester. I'm a junior, and I'm in the Power Sports Technology program.
My name is Javion Ferry. I'm in construction trades. I am a junior.
My name is Owen Duquette. I'm a senior and I'm in the construction programs.
I'm Tony. I'm grade 48 right now.
Right, exactly. Okay, so first question, in no particular order, why did you choose to go to BOCES?
Well, my guidance counselor told me about this program that preps you for if you are interested in a career in possibly nursing or medicine, and that's what I wanted to do, so I think it might be a good opportunity for me.
That's great, Jackson.
I chose BOCES because I wanted to get more understanding in engines and how they work. 4-stroke and 2-stroke engines.
Great. Javion.
I chose to go to BOCES because BOCES would set me up with future employment ideas and learn more stuff about construction.
I chose to go to BOCES because I grew up watching my grandfather work on construction, so I wanted to take after that and learn that and have like a good career.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. And just so the three of you are in the SAAC facility. Olivia, you're over at the Sanford Street
Yeah.
Elementary School, up in the 3rd floor, I found out, right? Is that where it is? That's great. All right, so why don't we start with the construction trades? Could you two tell us about your program? What is it like? What kind of activities do you do? Just tell us about your program in general.
So we learn how to work on power tools. We learn on like the difference between studs. We're working on a tiny home right now.
Wow, okay,
Last year we worked on a shed.
okay. You guys said you were just doing sheathing today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, air bearing.
And you're having to use those hand nailing the sheathing in,
Yeah.
right, as I understand it. That's great.
Yeah.
Javion, what about you? What's your program like?
So, you learn how to operate tools, mathematics and
Okay.
stuff. We have ELA, math, basically making calculations for example, like, what are they called? For like the roof.
Projections.
Yeah, like we learned projection to overhang
Okay,
and stuff.
absolutely. A lot of terminology, right?
Yes.
I think each of the programs that our students are in, there's a lot of terminology. So there's a lot to remember, a lot of rafters and beams and
Yes.
joists and all of those things. You have to learn all those things. Jackson, how about you? Tell us about your program.
So in my program, we learn to fix and diagnose engines. We learn how to use power tools. That's about it.
Okay, Olivia.
We do medical terminology, anatomy and physiology, honors English, medical law and ethics, and then shortly we're going to be starting our economics course. College level.
In each of the programs, there's integrated academics. So for the CTE programs, they get a credit of ELA and a credit of math over the 2 years that they're in the program, and you're getting some English and credits as well, which is really helpful for them for graduation. And then that vocabulary, it's all related to the field that they're going into.
Nice. Olivia, how are you covering math and ELA in your program?
So math, we do not cover math in our program.
Okay.
We leave room for everything else, but when I come back to school, I do take the super calculus
Oh, wow.
off at McLoversville.
That's
But
your distance learning, right?
yes.
I had to throw that in there. 'Cause that's
That's one of the other school support services on the back of that.
That's right. Distance learning to plug, right? That's great.
But English has been great and has taught me a lot. We actually just finished the clinical application essay, so we take what we learn out when we do our clinical observation rotations, and we apply that to an essay that we write.
Okay. And Javion and Owen, you guys already talked about the calculations and some of those things. So Jackson, what's some of the academics that you do in your program?
So in math, we do like a lot of stuff that will help us in the trades. Like we learn how to use, read a tape measure, how to use a micrometer and a dial caliper.
Okay.
ELA, we learn how to write a resume and stuff that help us also outside of our trade and get us a job in the future.
So can you help me with spark plug gaps? Because that's always been kind of a mystery to me, getting that figured out. All right, so how about the work-based learning opportunities that you have? I know for some of you our juniors, maybe you haven't done as much of that, but what have you done that's kind of out there in the field, and even with your clinicals, maybe starting with Olivia?
Yeah, we do a lot of clinicals, and we get to log our hours. So in college, we'll be prepared for that, and then when you go to medical school, you have to log a lot of hours. So we get kind of a head start on that, and a lot of people go into the field not really knowing what they want to do. So really getting a feel for the environment of each practice has been very helpful.
That's great. Jackson?
For work-based learning, we actually do a lot of stuff in the classroom. So we'll do chapters. We have a book, so we'll have to read our chapters. We'll also do like outside instruction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. How about you guys? Anything that comes to mind with work-based or kind of on-the-job type of things, other than what you're doing in the classroom, like with the tiny house?
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, we do basically kind of similar to what he does.
Yep.
We do a lot of footwork.
What about the certifications? I know in constructions and
Last year I got certified for OSHA 10.
Okay, that's quite a process. What is that process like to get that certification?
Yeah, I was quite, took about like 2 weeks or so to get done.
Just studying a lot of terms, and
Yeah.
diagrams, and
Yeah.
having to take a test, right?
Yeah.
At the end of it. Javion, how about you? You're a junior, so you probably haven't started to work on
Nope.
any of the certifications yet, but that's coming next year?
Yes.
That's great. Jackson, how about you?
There's a lot in our field. We use a website called Power Channel. So
Okay.
we take our courses on there. So right now I've done my basic engine theory
Okay.
and my parts lookup and identification. But there's a lot more you can do.
So at the end of it, what is your goal to have in terms of certifications?
I want to get most of them done.
Okay, that's 4-stroke, 2-stroke, and,
Yeah, there's a lot of other courses you can take through that too.
okay, great. Olivia, how about you?
There's no specific certifications with Visions. It's more about like the college credits and
Right.
the real experiences out in the real world that we get.
Do you know offhand how many college credits you end up with at the end of the program? I'm sorry.
We have our medical term and I believe English. I don't know.
So it's probably 8 credits or something along those
Oh.
lines. Okay. Well, and you were talking a little bit about anatomy and physiology, so I won't quiz you on that, because I know there's quite a bit to that. All right, so why was this a good decision for you? Let's start with Olivia.
Well, this has really helped me really solidify what I would like to do in my future. Now I'm very confident that I do want to go into medicine.
Nice.
And has really given me an idea of what I don't want to do as well.
That's part of it.
Yes,
Okay, Jackson, how about you? Why was this a good decision for you, you feel?
It's gave me a head start on what I want to do outside of high school.
Great. Javion?
Giving me the OSHA 10 certification, which allows me to have multiple opportunities in the field.
There's a lot of great opportunities in the region for sure.
I think I've learned a lot. I think it benefits my career very much.
That's great. Okay, so this is the question now. What is your absolute favorite part of the BOCES program? Why don't we start on this side now?
Working on the tiny home.
That's great. That tiny home is actually good. It gets put up for sale, doesn't it?
Yep.
So I think if you check Auctions International towards the end of the probably May, June timeframe.
Yeah, probably the end of the semester.
And they've made them before actually, and they've sold for a pretty good amount. It's a pretty high demand item right now for
Yeah.
tiny homes. How about you, Javion? What's your absolute favorite part?
When everybody works together, we all talk, crack jokes.
That's fantastic, Jackson.
My favorite part would be getting assigned to a customer's, whether it be like a snow blower, lawnmower, and then you actually get to fix it yourself. So you bring it in, diagnose it, and then you get to work on it.
So on that point, if you have something that needs to be repaired, if you get in touch, the students actually work.
to Jackson's.
Yeah, I know, right?
They do work on, they take an outside work, so that's part of
Yep.
the work-based learning. So you can bring a lawnmower, blowers, ATVs, and they'll diagnose it, and the only cost to you is parts.
What if I just call him my nephew?
Well,
That's perfect.
Well, I cost you lunch and parts.
See, they said they learned financial literacy in the beginning of the year, so you might get a bill.
Oh, no.
And Olivia, your favorite part of your program, Visions Health?
I'd say my favorite part is definitely the rigor of the program and learning how I learn and preparing myself for college.
Okay. And what do you want to do in college?
I'm definitely going to major in biology and get all my prerequisites to go to medical school.
That's amazing. Okay, Jackson, future plans. What are you going to do after you graduate from the program?
I would like to attend Hudson Valley Community College to do HVAC, and then do use what I've learned in power sports technology is like also like something I can do on the side.
Okay. You will always have work
Yep.
in that field. Vivian, what about you? Future plans?
I would like to be a construction worker, continue my family's legacy as being in the construction field. So
Great. That's fantastic.
I would either like to be a construction worker and find a good job in construction, or become an auto mechanic.
Okay. We have programs for that too. So, we thank you so much for taking your time, particularly Javion. He got the night off work to be here tonight. And so really is super, they recognize the importance of being able to talk about their program and the opportunity. I know they really appreciate it. We certainly appreciate hearing from you. And so thank you so much.
Questions from the board?
Just from the board.
I have a few. Very proud of you. Next door neighbor. When you guys decided to go, how many of you got your first choice of what you wanted to go into? 2 of you?
yeah.
Almost 3? Okay. Jack, you didn't?
No.
And since you're doing something else,
Yeah.
do you still feel like it's, you're glad you did that?
Yeah, of course.
Even though you didn't get into
Yeah.
the original first one? Okay. The second question is, how many of you think what you're doing, I heard you say you want to get into, so I guess he wants to get into construction, you too. You think that, I guess it's only you, Chester. You all said you want to go into what you're doing with. Do you think that this is that something you think that could be a possibility for your career? I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, is that usually the thing you guys say when you go into the people that are going into these trades? They already decided that that's what they're interested in. They try to go into something specific, or they're just kind of going and learning. Is it more down one group, more one way or the other?
I think more, there's definitely the interest area of what they're thinking of when they, for their career. And oftentimes, when they don't get their first choice, they're in an area, and sometimes there's an opportunity to switch back to their first choice, and they like it, so they stay in that area, and it just opens up other doors.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is because of, obviously, the availability in the fields and the trades and everything. Obviously, my son is 26 years old. He's already a journeyman electrician in the union. You can really, if these guys are in the trades, any of them, and they really want to go after it. It's not like it used to be. Now it's just, something I want to do, you just go for that. Nothing makes you different than any other kid. It's just about finding the thing you want to do and going for that. I'm just proud to see kids out there doing a trade. My father had a plumbing and heating business for 35 years and then put in wells for another bunch of years, and that's what I wanted to do. And when I came out of school, my father said to me, it's not really a viable option. There's too much competition. There's too many people doing it. Baby boomers are a huge generation, and there was a lot of people doing it. And so I went a different route, right? But it's what I wanted to do. And if it's what you want to do, I encourage you to just do that. Go after what you want to do. And everybody can do what they want to do in this age. It's a lot different than any other time. The competition was different. You can go to college now and get jobs. You can go to trades and get jobs. You can do whatever you want. It's a great opportunity. It's a great generation to get out of school. So just find what you want to do and go for that.
Other questions?
I think that all four of you are doing some wonderful things. And you should be proud of what you're doing. And one thing, like Chris was saying, right now that world is wide open. And you've got a nice base going on. Make sure that you listen to your instructors. These guys and women have all been around. They're teaching there because they know that field. Pay attention, listen to what they have to say, and you two, especially in construction, sit wide open. You can go as far as you want to go. Whether it's working in the field or construction management or planning and estimating, take advantage of this base and really carry it. Don't let anything or anybody stand in your way, ever.
And on the other side, in medical, same thing. Has there ever been more of a need? So, congratulations.
Look, I'm kind of old,
Good
so
job.
I'm gonna need a good doctor.
Proud of all.
I
Proud
work
of
at a
all.
nursing home.
Not that old. I know where you live. And I'll be coming to you for some small information.
Thank you.
Other questions? Again, we thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just before we go, I just wanted to thank you again for having us. It means the world to us. It means everything for your board to support us. We can't do what we do without your support, and you see the product. Board, I don't know whether you have anything else to add?
No, we just thank you for sending the youngsters.
Well, thanks for having me.
Over the various visitations that I've been to, it's been interesting to find some of the students took their first choices, got partway through and said, this isn't my cup of tea. That's also a big thing in my opinion. I grew up similar to your business type thing. In the family, you did it, you enjoyed it, some did, some didn't, but it was great. But to find out that it's not your cup of tea, you can move in a different direction at their age, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And thank you for sending these youngsters to us. They're great.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Stop by and see us, Doc. Will do.
As a parent, Jackson's mom, we were excited for him to go to BOCES because it was a better fit for him learning-wise. He was very excited to work hands-on versus sitting. It was never his thing. He never really enjoyed school. He went for a few different visits and thought maybe they weren't good fits for him as far as the amount of activity in the classroom and it was distracting to him. He went to visit the HVAC program and he got in the car and he was glowing. He was so excited. It's all we heard all summer long when he found out that he got his third choice, not the program he wanted, because he really liked the excitement of the employers coming in and talking to them about maybe like picking kids for internships during summers and the availability to work. He was a little bit disappointed starting the school year out. I will say we were worried that it wouldn't be a good fit. He got his third choice. We encouraged him to give it a try, and he came home after the first week and he thought the teacher was so incredibly engaging and encouraging and down to earth, and he really has loved the program. He doesn't think that that's probably like the perfect fit for him as far as a career, but it's giving him a lot of knowledge and broad-based knowledge that if you go into a trade, sometimes being pigeonholed into one trade these days isn't exactly the right thing, so it's giving him a broad-based education-wise. He still has hopes. I mean, this now BOCES isn't a viable option really for him to move next year into HVAC because then he would have to do an extra year anyway. So he wants to continue with the program he's in and then go on later to pursue the HVAC part of it. But he's really enjoyed it and has made a huge difference in his classroom-based learning that he's done here. His grades this year have skyrocketed and he enjoys coming to school. He just this last week missed his very first day of school for the year. That has never been the case for Jack. He gets up every morning and he is ready and standing by the door waiting for the ride to school. So he's very excited and it's made a huge difference in his energy about school and education. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's for sure. That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Safe drive home. Thank you.
Alright. Anybody have any comments about that at all? I thought it was wonderful.
Did I would like to see the students have a better opportunity to get their first choice though, because I would like to see the students have more of an opportunity to get their first choice. It seems like it's pushed to some schools that are getting the majority of the kids from certain schools are going to those.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the process
I
of
would
that.
like to see how that works, because I think that a lot of the larger schools are taking up the spots in the morning and the afternoon, and there's no openings for the smaller schools, and I think that's where the
I
problem
think
lies.
it might be you think it's a timing thing?
I don't know, it'd be interesting to find out.
Or a persistence thing on the school's part, not the kids' part.
I mean, I already heard the kids say that they wanted to do the things they were doing. I was kind of throwing it out there again, and to Jack, I wasn't sure what the answer was going to be. I don't know, but if I would assume if most kids probably go into a thing, you're kind of thinking that's what you're into, you want to do it. If you get to pick that, and it seems like the other kids got to do what they wanted,
Yeah,
which is
all three of them.
yeah, so
Three out of the four,
which is
yeah.
pretty good. But like they said, Jack has third choice.
Yeah.
And he likes it. It's better than just being a regular day classroom student, no matter what. It's better.
So I know when my kids went to BOCES, they got their first choice.
And plus, he's interested in that stuff anyways.
Larger schools.
These guys they're rebuilding a car. They're doing things with it. But it is a thing. If you're going to go and do it, you not get your third choice.
I'd be curious on how it's proportioned out per district.
I mean, and not there's anything we can do about it, but it's interesting in knowing the process of how things are decided and picked. Right?
Exactly.
If it might be that nothing we can ever influence we can have, but we'll at least know the process.
I can, Ben's gonna do a little homework on it.
Yes.
My sister
Just
works
curious.
for, West Star 3 at BOCES. So I'll
Oh,
ask
yeah.
her
I'd just like to see our kids have as much opportunities as a larger school if there's something based that way.
Yeah.
I can speak to it from a budgetary standpoint. We almost doubled what we were expecting for our hard lock-in. So when our registration for hard lock-in is in February, and then we get basically double what we were expecting budgetarily. I know from a numbers standpoint, I don't know if we let BOCES know exactly what our kids were looking at. So I think that might be part of it, but I know.
Well, it could be we need to sign up earlier in our district and we signed up late. I don't know.
Could be anything.
Yeah, I'm just curious on
There's no from numbers
how
like
it's
this
done.
tonight. Yeah, but some of those numbers just get inflation because we didn't get the right number from last year. So.
I have a question about it. I'm just wondering, and maybe this should have been for them. When kids apply for the New Visions program, and like maybe they don't get in, can they not then try to take the early college academy courses? Or does it just bump them out of
They
that?
should be able to, why not?
I don't know.
Because I don't think they can.
If they don't get in.
Yeah, like if they don't get into the New Vision, then I don't think that, I think it just kind of,
I think
how
they
it's
will
delayed.
be changing it, because
Oh,
I think with,
that's weird.
Joanna Scott had shared that maybe the New Visions is closing, they're not offering it, after this year or when the next group phases out, so maybe they will be restructuring, like, you know, the college career academy and what that entails.
Just makes sense.
Because to me, that, it would make more sense, because New Visions is not the easiest to get in, but at least that would be a good backup for the kids to be able to get college credits. And to be able to, you know, still push some of those kids that are, you know.
If you're going to college, getting early college credits is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're taking.
That's why I did it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Alrighty then.
I didn't know they had school to work though. 17 to 21 school to work. That's another, for a specific group of kids, that's another very viable option.
It is.
This is something like-
Well, it's an important thing. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Halsey and Chris Rader, budget presentation. Oh, big screen? What's that? What, budget?
I like theirs better. I like their car better than mine, so my TV's bigger. Yeah, fancy.
Mine's not.
I can move it a bit closer. Well, it's big. It's a little big. It's big. It's all big.
Everybody see that?
Yeah.
I think we're good, Chris.
We're gonna say we're good, we're not gonna say anything.
Jury room. It's just spending a little more money. In the state. Of all states. Can't wait for me to retire so somebody else is in. It's just
I'll give you just one moment to spin the camera around.
All right, it is the official kickoff of the 25-26 budget season, which I know all of you are super jacked to be a part of. But let's face it, it's the foundation for everything that we do, and it starts right here with discussions with you folks
and a lot of work with Chris and his team, a lot of meetings, preparatory meetings. It really begins as you're currently navigating your existing budget. It's an ongoing process. Tonight is the official first workshop presentation to you folks, and it's a little alarming to me personally because it says year 25-26, and the very first one I ever worked on was for the 05-06 school year as a rookie superintendent. So time has flown, and the process, however, is the same. It's tedious work, but it is incredibly important work. What we're going to share with you here this evening, though, to kind of lay the foundation for everybody, is the numbers that we can present to you with the best possible estimates using all of our current data and projections from what our contracts say we have to pay next year, what our typical vendor expenses are, based on what it is we're currently doing this year. So we're using that as the starting point for the discussion with you as a school board, is we're just going to make a general assumption for numbers purposes that if we take what we're currently doing this year programmatically and staff-wise and roll it forward into next year, this is what it would cost. From here, after tonight's presentation, we'll at least have what those numbers look like, and then it gives us all kinds of room and latitude then, based on discussion and desires of the district, to make any alterations, whether it be programmatically, whether it be staffing, those types of things. So we have to give you a starting point to know what the numbers look like. If we take what we're currently doing and roll it forward, and then that makes it much easier to make decisions because you have the numbers already built and in place if you want to change things. So with that being said, we're going to take you through a number of slides. Please feel free to, it's not a one-way process. Engage with us as we go, and we'll see how it ends up tonight.
And the good part is tonight's topics for our budget will be about 90% of the expenses of our school budget. So all the major topics will be hitting: staffing, BOCES, special ed. You'll be seeing where most of the money lands. So tonight, our goal, again, is to provide business direction through transparency and detail. So this presentation is as defined to the cent of how much money we spent. So all of the monies, you'll see where it all goes and how it's tagged, okay? So again, tonight's topic points will be staffing, estimated salaries, benefits, special education, BOCES, debt service, and interfund transfers. And again, these make up about 90% of your school budget. So our current staffing, we have 3 administrators plus a TOSA. We have 45 support staff and 54 teachers. And our number projections, as Ben was saying, these are based on historical baselines. We also have met with the team, and we also are looking at inflationary budget business costs for next year. So as we look at our estimated salaries, we look at the description note. One of the ones I highlighted was an addition from last year's budget. We did not actually budget this amount last year, but to also talk about under the cleaning staff, we decided to add a part-time cleaner to support that line. So that was not budgeted for last year, and that's where you see some of the upticks on the salary plan. You'll see the different budget from what we're proposing. That's our numbers here. So that's what we're expecting for this coming school year, 25-26. Our current school year is here. The dollar changes are there, and the percent change is on that side. And again, this is more salary. We broke it down with aides. You'll also start seeing highlighted in red. Anytime you see that, it means these people don't work for free, but they are getting their salaries or a portion of their salaries covered from another cost, usually from a federal government, whether it's C-funds for the cafeteria. The cafeteria here in most schools, but luckily here at Fort Howard, it's a business within a business. So it kind of actually functions. So all of the money that it costs to operate comes from the federal government or state government. to cover those costs. So it becomes really our goal is zero cost. Up here with the TA for pre-K, that money comes from the federal government with a pre-K grant. So again, they get paid, they get a salary, but it actually gets covered from an outside source. You'll see this highlighted as well. This just means the only money that we are paying out of general fund for the salary is almost $2,100 because it's coming from another grant. So here are more estimated salaries. What I've also done, anytime we have a projected retirement, we have also highlighted the FTE in red. So what I've done in that situation is that's not the salary that they currently are having, but what would be happening next year, I'm estimating kind of a master's level 13, which is a pretty good indication where we kind of can land. We're hoping obviously for the best qualified candidate, but sometimes we try to also try to get to the maybe cheaper steps or earlier steps. So it just depends. Sometimes it is just like figuring how to maneuver the numbers, but that's where that is landed. So anytime you see the highlighted in the FTE, that's our projection for estimated retirees. Also, I've highlighted the TOSA. I know that's a topic point for further discussion, but that is currently a teacher that is under the teaching salary of elementary education. We also have 2 potential retirees. We're estimating that. Again, current contract here at Fort Edward, we do have some predictability of retirees because if a retiree is eligible for their year of retirement and is up for their year, if they expect to have benefits, healthcare covered under the current contract, they will have to leave in the first year of eligibility. And because all of the teachers currently that we are expecting to retire receive benefits from the school, that's how we can kind of anticipate those retirees. And this is our 7 through 12 instructional. So again, broken down by different subject areas. We also throw in longevity and credits, what we're expecting to pay. But as you see, the different amounts and also the percent change. Most of this has already been previously determined because we have negotiated contracts. A lot of these numbers are not just picking numbers from the sky, which in past times it's like, what do we anticipate, what these numbers can land? We have a really good understanding under current contract with our support staff and teacher staff next year. And here is our estimated salaries with our transportation lines for our bus drivers. Again, we are kind of looking out for that new head bus driver. It will be a 12-month position. We are looking at right now a current amount of $55,000 for the year. And then this is estimated on the hours that we currently have staffed with our driver staff. Some of those can fluctuate depending on how it lands, but those are the amounts and the totals based on the hourly wage. And again, we see a 5.62 increase from last year's.
Got any hits on that?
We currently do. We are hoping to make some determinations in the next couple of days to move forward into determining, but not necessarily right now a viable option, but we're exploring candidates.
It started slow. We had to work out some details with civil service and then get all that process ironed out and then posting and then the holidays. So it went a little slow at the beginning, but it'll move quicker now.
This is for the head bus driver?
Yes.
And we've had contacts, but the application process, some didn't actually apply. They contacted whether through a telephone or an email, which wasn't a legitimate application, so we're just circling the wagons on
I would say don't rush this one. This could be pretty important.
It's huge.
Yeah, we completely agree.
Yep.
We want quality and
Be interesting
warm
to see.
body. We've done the warm body thing and we want quality, so.
Yes. That's okay. So that was the driver's.
Oh, is it the one you were just?
Yep, that was one just
My bad.
Thanks, no, you're fine. Thank you for your help.
Yes, thank you. And these are actually each of the taglines we just had. I just now did a summary, so it helps a little bit understanding of where all the monies kind of land. So the different teacher lines, guidance counselor lines, they're all now segmented as a summary. So you see what, again, our previous cost for last year's was, what we anticipate this year. the increases and then the percent difference. So another big chunk will be under benefits. So this will describe our medical, dental, retirement, which is broken into teachers' retirement and employee retirement system, Social Security, workers' comp, and unemployment. So this is a big one because in the last few years, I've known we've gone out with higher percentages. We were trying to figure out from BOCES as our consortium how it was going to land. We've been landing pretty high over the last couple of years. So we previously budgeted about $1,750,000. And under our current expectations, it will still land about that, but we were able to save some money with our projections of what we currently have as staff and how much of the plans that we put out, how much the retiree contributions, all of that is laid out there. Retirement benefits, TRS currently is at a 10% of their salary, so that's where we are at with that. Employee retirement system is running about 12%, so that's where we have done the figures there. So again, about a $70,000 increase over last year's budget for a 13% increase. And Social Security, workers' comp, unemployment. We do have reserves for some of these as well. So unemployment, we usually try to budget about 20. We do have some reserve. We'll talk reserves later down the road, but some of these we can kind of navigate. Social Security, again, some of these are fixed costs. We don't have a lot of control. We run the numbers based on how much we pay on salaries and what we need to deduct for workers' comp and all that. So this is, again, not a lot of maneuverability with our numbers here. And here's a summary of our benefits. So as we compile each different tagline, you'll see the different dollar change. We were able to save a little bit with the healthcare and insurance. So we do increase about $56,000 from last year to a 2% increase. Special education. I would like to say thank you to Mallory and all her hard work, because this year I feel like it's not the dark chasm or a black hole where we didn't always know where things landed. We know exactly who is going where, what our numbers are. So you'll see sometimes these numbers we still have to project potentially having other children come to district, but we actually were able to work closely together to navigate our special education program based on accurate information as we navigate. So with all of the contractual, our material supply, the tuitions, it's still about $55,000 over last year, but that's also projecting the students that we are currently have and also for future students next year. And BOCES, I would like again thank to BOCES with all of their wonderful programming. We do get about 80% return on BOCES, so a lot of these numbers kind of look scary because it's like, oh, we have all these expenses, but we'll make it a little bit easier going down workshops 2 and 3, as you'll see where some of our revenues come from as well. So right now I'm just showing you expenses, so it's a little bit harrowing sometimes to go, oh my gosh, how are we going to cover this? But it does all play out. This is just the workshop for number 1, so you kind of see where a lot of the expenses go. But we'll talk about how some of the revenues come back to us, but that is because when it comes to BOCES, the money that we do put in, we do actually get money of that money back. So this investiture does become year over year. It helps cover when we do revenues. But again, we've seen what happens when we invest in our students and we give them opportunity. Tonight's presentation is a case in point of once you put opportunities in front of the children, they can exceed and find their future. And that's what we're all about when we're talking education. So this is where some of this money, again, with BOCES goes. We do contract with certain BOCES, so you'll see how the different lines, whether it's labor relation, we work with a lot of financials, state aid planning with West R3. We also work with West R3 with their stacking, so that helps with special education monies coming back. This is definitely a lot of collaboration, so BOCES helps with a lot of services that most districts can't always do on their own. And for whatever, because we are so small, we rely a lot on BOCES, but their support is very imperative. We will also show with our food service, there is an investiture, again, of $150,000 for that service. We do get most of that money, again, with federal monies and state monies back, so it does get covered, but we have to have that first investiture into our, to make that all happen, so that's where that comes from. No, this is different. This is just next, yep, another BOCES line. BOCES is just, again, it just shows how much we actually use with our systems. We use for security, we use with the NEDM service, and all of those kind of things. We work with BOCES, the ways we operate. We've done a lot of, so the arts and education program, we talked about that last year. We do a lot of working with BOCES to put money into that program. So they can actually help with building musical sets. So our musical set is mostly covered through the BOCES. We send kids to Broadway to see a show. So there's a lot of good opportunities, again, through BOCES that once you start exploring how much BOCES really does help to support our school and our district, our students, it's really kind of exciting. The special education, as I was saying before, we're currently budgeting for this coming year $760,000. In previous years, when I first got here, it was $1.3 million. So suddenly, once we actually know where some of our true numbers are landing, we still are expecting less than that, but we budgeted $950 last year, so there was about $190,000 in service. And that's because, with Mallory's wonderful expertise, we were able to bring kids keep our kids here in district, and also offer opportunities for other school districts to bring their students here as well. So it's really becoming a very popular program and working so that we can sustain our students and bring them here and keep them here. One of the areas I was mentioning, this is the CTE and the other students of sending them out to the occupational education. What happened last year is we didn't budget for 13 students, and so we actually budgeted lower than what we spent. So that was what we budgeted last year, and the amount that we truly, it was significantly higher. So when we actually don't really know who's going to that program, sometimes fiscally we are on the hook. And I think that's what happened with some of the students too, is they got a hard lock-in at a lower number of what we really did send. And so that might have affected what their first or second or third choices could be, because if you're not telling the right number, you might be not given opportunities to attend. So I think that might be the answer, but I'm sure we can find a better.
Yeah.
So that was happening.
And I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but so knowing that now we have 13 kids over there we didn't think we were going to, when do we start talking to these kids about going?
Some of them have been on a presentation. Was it last week? The first week back from break?
Yep.
Yeah, first week back from break, those that had expressed any interest, Joanna Scott start scheduling visitations to the programs that are over there.
Okay.
She gets a estimation of who thinks they might want to consider this, and then we start sending BOCES what they call our soft number of how many we think are coming. And then there'll be a hard lock-in date coming up shortly.
Yeah, it's in February.
And then we'll tell them.
So it must be hard too, because we get people like, we moved in after you probably get your budget, and same with special education. Students move in and out all the time, it's hard to track how much you're gonna need and how many kids are gonna need services.
Right, and so if we say we're 13, this family moves in, and we end up
14, 17,
14, 15,
yeah.
17,
then that
we'll make up that difference. It'll make our BOCES refund at the end of the year a little less, but you know, they may not necessarily get into the exact program that they want to get into, but it's way closer this year than it was last year. I think we budgeted for what, 7 or 9 maybe?
It was like 7.
7, and I think we sent 14. So
start that process later last year.
No, I think the number, I think it's always that time period. I just
not sure what the difference, why it came out inaccurate, but we ended up sending double what we budgeted.
And I'll probably take some ownership on it, because I was really trying to get Joanna to give me a really accurate number, because each child is $13,500 to send them.
Oh yeah.
So for our district, I didn't want to spend extra. And if you are hard locked and it ends up being we had 10 but we only sent 7, we're still on the hook for 10. So that's kind of where the number kind of, we don't want to pay more than we have to send.
Do you have historical numbers?
We did, but we didn't, it was all fluctuated all over, so some.
Nothing that would, it goes as low as 7 or 6?
There has been, yeah, so the fluctuation was just, it's hard to project. So because the previous year we were actually on the hook for more students, I was like, let's try to not lose money that way. So I think that was part of why we might have had such a discrepancy. But as you said, there's good kids who coming to district that missed the deadline, or there's a lot of variables. But this is why budget time is fun, because you're trying to sometimes land the right numbers, but there's a lot of variables.
We're confident we can figure that out.
I think with the process, we've now had some hangups of last year. I think we have a better understanding of how it does things.
Identifying.
And I would rather, again, budget higher and maybe give a hard lock-in number at maybe a little bit lower. So the hard lock-in won't be as high, but from a budgetary standpoint, we're still at least not gonna be like over influxing another $100,000. So,
That makes sense, but then if we hard lock in low, again, we're still not improving our first choice options, right?
that's probably true. So yeah,
I mean, if she gets going on it maybe just a bit earlier, we should have a better idea of what's going on.
Do we bring, like the gentleman that was here, I've seen him around, David Greenwich, but do we bring somebody like that in to do like a
presentation to the students?
Yeah.
Who's this?
Like the BOCES guy.
Oh.
We bring him in and say, hey, look, these are our programs. This is what we have to offer.
You mean like to an auditorium?
Promote it. Yeah.
Auditorium of like
Yeah,
junior
so
high
we
kids?
get,
or-
you know,
What
all
age do they
age
go?
kids.
What age do they start going? 10th grade? Or 11th grade, I mean?
Certain programs, they,
They can start in the 10th grade, it just depends on the
depends on the program.
So generally 11, 12?
Yeah, about 11.
They have some exploratory programs, they give the kids snippets of a little bit of everything, so that by the time they're a junior, they can lock
So
in.
like 9th graders, even 9th graders, 10th graders are the target age to get somebody in to speak to them? No, that's something, I mean, you can, BOCES will probably do, I'm sure.
Plant a seed, you know, gives you a better idea what the numbers are, gives the kids a better idea what their options are.
That was about the grade level for early coming into P-TECH, so it's about 9th grade.
Seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah, because it was right at the start of high school.
Oh, interesting. It'd be nice to see like what the different programs, what are the ages kind of going into those things, and then maybe see if BOCES has any.
9th grade,
BOCES
middle
has any
school can't even
recruiting.
figure out if they're supposed to go to the third floor or not.
Not middle school.
It's middle school.
Well, I just
So
meant
let's
for kids that want to
get
go
them
into
to the third floor on time.
Kids that
8th
want-
grade. In
Kids
9th
that
grade,
want to
we'll
go
start
into middle
talking
school,
where your locker
well, if a
is.
kid wants to go into that program, he's got to do it in 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if they know what's
It's a very
available.
good idea.
Well, BOCES should be able to do, if they have a crew. That's if they have that kind of.
Do they have a, if I remember correctly, I went to BOCES and went to machine shop, and that's my trade I ended up doing for a long period of my life. But if I remember correctly, there was an open house at BOCES where you could just get there and go,
They just had one.
even if we had a school bus sitting outside here.
They just had an open house there.
Right, and you loaded all the kids that just wanted to see and go and look. They could tour.
Well, that used the way
all
that was the way it used to be in
Yeah.
the old days. but
Well, it sounds like it would be a great thing for our kids.
I'm not sure they do that anymore. Steve.
Well, I don't know.
I think it's
I don't
more
know how it
structured
was,
about how you
but
go in and have to set
They
up.
did have an open house.
You have to go through like, you have to go, but if you want to go see those programs, you have to set up a thing through the guidance office, and you have to go and like attend the program for the day.
Oh,
So
like a
it's a
really
lot different than it
hands-on
used to be.
open house.
Well,
Yeah, I'm just
you know,
saying-
times are different.
I'm just saying, you load all the kids on that want to go and see, and it's an open house. They walk through and
Oh,
they
you
see
mean
the-
to the open house?
Yeah, they walk through, they see the machine shop, they see the small engine repair, the nursing, you know, all the different sections. They can go wherever they want, get back on the bus, come back home. But that might plant a seed and might say, yeah, I want to do that.
I just have a feeling we're gonna see the numbers go up in that routinely. As the years go on, the numbers of BOCES participants are gonna go way up in entry. Yeah, I agree. It just makes sense.
So another area that we were showing that they mentioned also this evening was the distance learning. So some of these you'll see like, why is this so expensive? But distance learning base fee is actually almost $70,000. So this is again a way that we can offer great opportunities to our students. It does cost an investment, it does take money to do this. But again, the good thing with BOCES is that we do get most of this money back, about 80%.
Of the 70?
Yeah. So when you invest 80, $70,000 into the BOCES on that tagline, we get about 80 on average back to the school district. So that's part of the revenue stream for the following year.
And how many kids do we generate, how many kids take advantage of that, you think?
For the distance learning, I'm not sure.
Like, do they do classes for upper grades, or
Typically,
is it all high school, or what is it?
I believe it's all high school level courses.
You can do like AP, history,
Yeah.
things like that.
You know, a lot of our seniors that are looking for some sort of AP credit will take a course that it doesn't make sense for us to hire one teacher to teach a student or two, but they can take it through Cambridge or some other school that does offer it through distance learning. And then we have a full-time TA that's in the room that monitors the room and the tech and things.
And that's how we were able to offer that young lady the calculus, was through the distance learning. So that's, again, how we get to give other opportunities to our students. So that's more BOCES. I also met with Sandy Wagner, and we talked this through. We actually really zero in on every cost again. This is just how it's all broken down with software, their hardware, their staff. We make sure everything that we're looking to do is covered within their BOCES amount. We also put in for that security grant camera of $35,000. Last year we did it for the first time, and we get all of that money back. So what we got into the security cameras for this last year, we can actually get all of that money back. So it becomes a cyclical once we do the investiture of these monies. Some of these monies actually come back 100%. And this is our BOCES summary. You will see, because again, most of the savings came from our special education, students with disabilities. We actually saved $40,000 from last year, so we're actually decreasing it by 1.86. And debt service. This was actually really exciting to put together because we actually lost one of our bonds. Our bond has been paid as of this June coming, will be our last bond payment. So we actually will see that we have a drop of almost $430,000. That's why we were able to take on another capital project. So this is how we're looking at the future of how we can kind of absorb some of our costs of increase of salaries, increase of different things that we know we need to operate our business. We have a pretty gigantic savings here with our debt service. So that was that slide. And then interfund transfers. We don't have as much as we used to in the past, and it's because the lunch fund, as I said, it's a business within a business. So for the last 4 years, we have not had to put any money from a fund to balance the budget into the lunch fund. It's because it is basically self-sustaining and operating. We do put some money aside for the special aid, and we also are investing with our capital projects. So that helps with the capital outlay. And year over year, we're seeing 90% of that money come back to us, so that's another revenue stream. So that's built in. We did the IT this last 2 cycles ago. This last budget last year, we're doing lighting to help with the foyer and the lobby area. And this coming year, we haven't yet determined what we're going to do with this capital outlay. But it's really wise for us to embed this extra cost because you get 90% of that money back. So we haven't figured out that yet, but more to come. But this is how the numbers right now are landing. So that is the end of our presentation for this evening. Do you have any questions for us?
No, but just to let you know that there's an open house at the SAAC, January 14th, which is tomorrow. And just one at Myers on the 16th.
And I like her idea where you
because
do
know
presentation,
about
the
it,
students coming in to talk to the students.
Absolutely.
That would do that for the students, exactly what they did here. That was a great idea.
Well, that might even be more. Thank you, guys.
What's the next one, Chris?
Yes, well, that will be my budget update. Thank you for jumping ahead. Segue to next topic.
So the CTE program is high school students entering their junior year in the fall of 2020.
I know they just had like a field trip with Monday, so Joe went to BOCES on the bus. Went to
You
HM.
ourselves.
Did you want me to jump for your superintendent report to get that information, or do you want to?
No, I'm superintendent, I got it.
Well, I tried. Now you can make me patient.
So yeah, I guess they did something where they didn't sign up to go for a field.
You're up. Superintendent report.
Number 6.
It's worth doing.
Talk about it, number 6.
Okay, so this is the interim superintendent acting principal report. Brand new item on the agenda.
Look at you go.
Yeah, look at me go.
And occasional words.
I can feel the excitement.
You should see what it's like in the office.
Fine. We have our moments of therapeutic sighs once in a while, isn't it? But it's going fine. A lot of great people here working very hard. Okay, let me dive in. You may have seen this legislation passed by Governor Hochul. It's looking to be modified about they call it the heat bill, which simply states if classrooms get to 82 degrees, we have to demonstrate attempts, classrooms or any usable space in the public school. If they get to 82 degrees, we have to show mitigation effort to make from climbing any higher, if possible. Fans, shut the lights off, minimize technology that could be adding heat to the room. If it gets to 88 degrees, as it currently stands, that space is to be prohibited from being used for general purposes within the school setting. 88 degrees. Has to be measured from the center of the room 3 feet off the floor is where you must gauge what is the temperature of the room. I don't know how you do that exactly, but well, I'm sure we'll come up with something.
I can on my graphs, I can see what it is up there.
There you go. We do have very elaborate systems that tell you what your building is running and those types of things, and we use those the best we can. There is a push to get language put in, and Governor Hochul is considering this, where practicable is the phrase in the legislation that, you know, it gets to 88 degrees and you need to move them, it's where practicable. And I don't know exactly what that means, but they're really pushing for districts to do the best they can to put kids in as comfortable a setting as possible in those few times of year, especially in this region of the country, it's certainly the state that the heat index gets what it gets. Certainly, we're all more comfortable with degrees less than this. One of the issues is going to be, and it's one of the issues we face with our own capital project planning, is recognizing this, it's not going to go away. This is the need to have your buildings comfortable, uniform from top to bottom, start to finish, is going to become the norm, we believe, which is why it's smart for us to use this current capital project that's in the planning phases and any future capital project. Air conditioning is as reasonable as possible and in as many places as you can possibly The 212 committee, which is the committee that was formed to develop professional development for the district, has finalized and will be rolling it out to our faculty and staff for the 3 days that we have left for superintendent days trainings. We have a half day on the 14th of February. We have a full day in March, and then another half day the 11th of April. Through a survey and gathering feedback from all the stakeholders in the district, we decided to go with, based on that survey, a menu of options for our faculty and staff to participate in for training on the 2 half days. And we tried to create days that were mirror images of each other, because we dismiss, it's a half day, you don't have a full day to do a lot of great deal of in-depth professional development, but you do have some solid time in the afternoon of both of those days. So we've created professional development that is mirror images, so they sign up for some choices that will be made available for them in February, And whatever they don't get, they can always take on the day in April. So that when we're said and done, they'll have some choices to pick from. And then if they don't get both choices in on one day, they're gonna have another day to take it out and get it done. The day in March is a full day, and also based on the feedback, we're bringing in a guest speaker, a motivational speaker who's worked with districts all across the country. He specializes in working with motivating staff to work with the ever-changing, needs of the current student population. Those kids that come from areas of poverty and dysfunction is one of his specialties. And motivating staff to really focus on take the kid for who they are when they come to you and work within that rather than assuming that they have outstanding circumstances at home. And so that's one of the messages we're going to talk about in March. And then he'll circle back as a guest speaker and be a part of our opening day next fall so that we have some carryover. It's one thing I've learned over the years, if you have somebody that comes in and really gets you hyped up on doing something and interesting, if you don't continue to work on it, it fades away. So we're going to have him come in and spend a couple hours with us in the morning of March 21st, and then he'll circle back with all of us for our opening faculty day in September to kind of follow up with us. He also has a couple of books that he's written, and everybody gets a copy of those books as part of his fee, and then he spends some time with some individual small groups. The roundtables that I've been having are all completed. There were 38 of them, I believe. Small group discussions with every employee in the district. And they were a wonderful opportunity for me not to only get to meet everybody, but to really start to gather some concrete information that I feel might be helpful for me to use with having conversations with our leadership team. A lot of times there were just very good common sense suggestions. Sometimes there were concerns, advice. Sometimes the most valuable information is, this isn't broken, don't try to fix it. And that's as valuable for a district that's had some turnover in leadership over the years, that there are certain things that are going very well. Just because we bring in new people doesn't mean we need to fix everything. There are certain things that we do very well, and that's kind of important feedback to know as much as it is the real concerns. And so what I'm doing now is I'm taking all this information and I'm tabulating those things that are very departmental specific, and we'll see if we can focus in on make improvements. And then there are certain things that were brought forward from different groups from a whole cross-section, whether it be teachers, whether it be cleaners, whether it be whatever they did for the district. And if you hear from it from a multitude of people, then now it has some legitimacy as an issue that we should probably take a closer look. And that's what I'll bring to the leadership team, and then we'll use that information to go forward. From a principal perspective, this is midterm week. We have 2 days of midterm examinations as in the secondary school. 2 days this week. We have some benchmark testing, K through 5 that is getting started. Then next week is the state regents exams for those courses that we usually offer regents exams mid-year, or kids are taking the exam a second, or in some cases maybe their third time in an attempt to pass it. Those dates next year or next week are the 21st to the 24th. So it is the end of the first semester is wrapping up. It's gone fast, but we're here by the end of next week. The first semester will be finished, and the following Monday starts the second semester. In front of you, when you arrived this evening, is a invitation to the National Honor Society ceremony. That is the 21st. We have 9 students being inducted, and a ceremony at 6 o'clock, and you certainly are all welcome to be there if you're able to attend. And then Spirit Week, put on by our cheerleaders, is February 3rd through the 7th. And that's all. Did my best. I want to make sure Chris has the time.
Chris?
My meeting's just short and sweet. We're still in the development process for our budget. That's pretty much my focus right now. A lot of efforts, again, with my team that goes into that. But February 10th is our next board meeting, is our next workshop, workshop number 2. The topic points, just so you're aware, will be revenue update, the state aid forecast, tax levy, tax cap, plant operations and maintenance, transportation, technology, athletics, co-curricular, equipment, contractual and supplies, and we will present our first draft of the budget. So you'll see everything. These will be the finalized pieces of what we invest in our school budget, and you'll see the first draft. February the 10th.
Fun begins.
Yes. All set? That was it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lance.
So I do have a short data presentation. I know we had talked at the November meeting about where our current numbers are. So I just put together a couple slides just to review those. And that way the board is aware of, our benchmarking process. Aside from that, while they're loading this up, our annual review season is starting, our schedule's done, and our first annual review meetings will start taking place on January 27th. So this was compiled, a lot of this data is collected from the beginning of the year benchmarks. So if you want to...
Sorry, I just
Okay. Sure.
I'll use the clicker.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to prepare a little something so that everyone is just aware of our benchmarking process that we are currently utilizing in grades K through 5 and 6 to 8. I'll quickly touch base on our present levels as they stood at the beginning of the school year. And then, just what are some next steps that we have been trying to implement in our process to, essentially make the process better, more efficient, smoother, and, get students where they need to be. You can go ahead. So we do benchmarking 3 times a year. So we did do the beginning of the year benchmark the first week. Or the first month of school. It's really a good kickoff. We get that data. We really encourage our teachers to use that data. And that helps plan their instruction. It highlights strengths of the students. It highlights weaknesses of the students. So it just gives us a good overall picture of our students' abilities, their present levels, and where they're at. As you can see, we are now in the mark of the middle of the year benchmark, so that window just got opened today. So we have, like Mr. Halsey shared, we have benchmarking starting. Tomorrow we're going to be trying some different simulations to see, different types of testing arrangements. To just see, where students are comfortable testing and just trying to make the most of that experience. And then they will do benchmarking one more time at the end of the year, and that will give us our data of our growth and where students are going into the next following school year. In grades K through 5, we do have additional diagnostic tools that the teachers do with their students throughout the year, at least 3 times a year as well. So we use reading A to Z, Wonders, and Wonders we use for letter naming, sight word fluency, and then our spelling inventory. So that is all run through with the students, and then each year we do a collection of all of the diagnostics that have been done throughout the year, and that goes into their file, and their teacher for the following year or the next year can also have that data available to them as they plan. And then we also use our benchmark meetings to determine the need for extra support. We have AIS in grades K through 5, and we also have AIS at the middle school level that's run by our teachers. So when we look at our benchmark meetings, we do these after each of the windows have closed, And it just gives us a time for the grade level teachers to come. We look at each of the students' progress to see where there are deficits. If students are maybe not making adequate progress, then we refer them to AIS. All right, so this is just breaking down the data that we have that we've gotten from the beginning of the year benchmark. So as you can see, this spans across. So when you're looking at the beginning of the year view, we're not looking at what are they proficient with in the current grade that they're in. So this is actually about a year behind. So like this year, as you can see, Tier 1, if you're looking at it and thinking of it like a big triangle, Tier 1 is your students that are proficient. Tier 2 are those students that might need additional support. And then Tier 3 are usually your students that are performing at least 2 or 3 grade levels behind. So this is just a breakdown of the tiers as they land based off of the beginning of the year's data. Okay. And this is a breakdown. So with iReady, they give you the opportunity to see the grade levels broken down. As you can see, kindergarten is at 100% because there's nothing to compare it to. This is their first year. So they all, for the first one, are proficient because they are starting kindergarten on a fresh foot. And these are reflected based off of the skills they need from the previous grade. Okay. Diagnostic growth, it's a little bit trickier to understand, but with students, iReady, what they do is they have a growth measurement. So the students will take their diagnostic and it gives them growth goals. So there are typical growth goals that they need to meet. And so these are just the percentages of progress that they make. So it increases based off of their scores from the previous year. So if you look at 23-24, we had 116% overall growth from the previous year. So, you know, working with Jess and working, you know, with Erin before she left, we did kind of want to create goals so that we just have something that we're working towards. I really like, this is one of my favorite things or features that iReady has because I think it really encourages students to make growth. I think there's, you know, obviously a big push for them to be proficient, but some of our students struggle. So having them to have the chance to just show, hey, I am making growth, it's something that can be celebrated. So these are the beginning of the year diagnostic results from grades 6 to 8. Again, so you're looking, this is your top tier, your middle tier, and then your bottom tier. And it breaks down the test into different domains as well.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
For the bigger kids, I know when they do iReady, they've done stuff when they're little. I know a lot of the bigger kids don't take the iReady stuff like seriously, so how accurate some of this stuff is when they're kind of like, I'm done playing, you know, they don't take it as seriously as they did when they were younger, so the data.
It can be skewed a little bit. So like you see that, you know, our 36% are tier 3. Is that, you know, it's hard to say if that's accurate.
It's a big jump from, like you're looking at,
Sure.
you know, 5%,
Yeah.
36%.
And we really looked at our, you know, our data from past year, the last year, and we were having our 9th to 12th graders take the iReady diagnostic, and we just felt, you know, they have so much testing as it is with Regents and everything, that, you know, we weren't really getting the support or the data that we needed from it. So, yeah.
Engage them.
Right.
If you look at this, which is just iReady, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You look at the grades that the kids are getting in their class. How accurate
I would say it's not, I would say that this, at least for 6 to 8,
Yeah.
would not be as accurate as the grades that they're
Is it,
achieving in the classroom.
is it better or worse?
This testing, I would say worse.
They're
Just
probably
because
just clicking.
this is, yeah, and iReady does have features where if they are rushing, it will flag them. It will have like a guessing feature if students are kind of going through and just doing the clicks. But
So let me ask you this, if iReady in this specific age group really isn't effective, it's not an effective measure, what is an effective measure?
I would say it's not that it's not an effective measure, it's if the students are putting the effort into it. Because it is, and it does really break down and give you a good snapshot of the students' true capabilities if they are putting the effort into it. And I think sometimes we see that that's not always the case at the, at least in
Not
8th
at
grade
this
or
level,
7th
because they
grade.
just want to get out of there.
They don't, yeah.
Well, diagnostic benchmarking is most important in elementary anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's more.
So that's where your focus is gonna be on that, but for high school students, I mean, do the teachers probably do they do kind of any type of in-class benchmarking?
What they'll do, at least at the high school level, is that they're more focused on, that Regents prep, getting the students ready for the Regents. So they do have assessments that they do that are, former Regent questions. And based off of that, they can look to see, where they're
What types of questions are getting right and
like
things are getting wrong?
certain comprehension, like if you're looking at inferential or, citing textual evidence. and
So
things
that's
like
what you're
that.
looking for.
Yeah, so it's more, at the high school level doesn't necessarily fit. And I see, I think once you get to 8th grade, sometimes there might be that, you could have that conversation that, that focus needs to shift a little bit, but.
More than that, almost like the high school take mine.
Yeah, okay.
And then here it is again, just the breakdown of the reading for grades 6 to 8 as it stands at the beginning of the year. So 8th grade, based off of last year's, these are skills from last year that they would need to be successful for this year.
So that 55% for grade 6, that's tier 3, correct?
What is this one for 6, 55? Yes, so that would mean that based off of.
55% of the kids are way below grade level.
Yes.
Like way
So,
below.
yep, which, this is based off of, do they have the skills needed for 6th grade? A lot of it's, and you have to take it with a grain of salt too, because there are some questions that they might not have covered yet. If that makes sense.
No, doesn't make sense.
So it's
I mean,
looking at
are
the
we-
skills. So
well,
what
let
it
me
does.
ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you said that, there's some questions that haven't been covered yet.
Mm-hmm.
Are we preparing children through targeted questioning for a diagnostic test?
So it starts off at a level, and if the students keep answering the questions correctly, it may ask them questions that they may not have covered in their core content classes. Just because it might
Random.
jump them up.
Well, if you do it just on base, are you asking if they're teaching to
Are we
questions?
teaching to questions or are we teaching to teach? That's my question.
Well, the teachers don't have access to the specific questions. It just breaks it down into domains, and then based off of that data, the teachers can look to see what domains they need to focus on. So if students struggle, like vocabulary is a big struggle for a lot of students, if they see, hey, most of my students struggled with vocabulary, then they might do design lessons like on context clues and how to use those definitions. So they don't see the questions, but it's just, what domains
So
need to
sometimes
be
the
more
benchmarking
focused.
scores are a little bit lower because they haven't covered some of the material.
So let me ask you this then. So 55% of those kids are now not ready for the 6th grade work, basically.
Could be, if they took the test seriously.
Okay. So do we go back to the 5th grade teacher and say, holy cow, Billy's not ready. Why?
I would say, I think that, and that, this is based off of, and I didn't include their last year's diagnostic test, but that's not always the case. So I think it's just.
You mean, well, do they have, they can tell you why, is what you're saying. You can go to the elementary teacher and they should have something saying, oh, well, he scored this in math and.
Yeah. Why?
I mean.
How did he do last year? Is he just not, he or she, not retaining the information?
But you have to have the whole picture of how he did in the previous year,
Yes.
and the next year, and the next
So
year.
are we going back?
I think
to
most of the
say-
kids that struggle, it's not a 1-year process.
No, it's not. But are we going back to see what the root cause of that child not either understanding or comprehending those questions? Because if we don't do that, what's the sense of having this?
Well, you're gonna
The
get a
whole
lot-
sense of having this is,
You're gonna get a lot of different answers from a lot of different teachers.
sure, but the answer shouldn't be a lot. The answer should be, we should go back to the year before, ask the question, why can't he read? And what did you do about it? And how did he do at the end of the year last year? If we're not doing that, then we're not understanding where the shortfall is. So the only one that's losing is the child.
Right. But you gotta remember, if a kid's struggling, generally there's AIS, there's a lot of other people involved in those days.
There should be.
There is, and already everybody knows. Everybody knows everything you're saying and that we're gonna ask. If those questions aren't already being asked, John, then there's probably an issue. You know what I mean? Everybody already knows. There's usually a team around the kid who's really struggling. There's AIS, there's academic
And there's
intervention, there. So
There's a lot of
the
conversations.
solutions,
Yeah.
I think, are where we're missing.
That could be.
Whether it's preemptive
I'm
or.
concerned with 55% of the kids not being at grade level at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And again, I would take that number with a
Then
grain of salt.
if we take that as a grain of salt, is it really worth doing?
Well, no. Well, my thing is this. I want benchmarking of some sort that's telling us whether kids are going from A to Z. And you can't, the problem is,
the teachers.
It's gotta be the teachers kind of doing it through something because, through achievement or something, because like you said, are the kids going diagonal up, diagonal back, filling in spaces and trying to get that thing over with? Because the teachers have already told them, this doesn't account against your grade, this is just to check and see this.
Yeah.
And a kid like me in 4th grade is going,
Oh, well, yeah. So I mean, maybe what the answer is,
Worst student in the world.
and I'm not saying this is the answer, but if we went back to, you're gonna have a test of what we covered in this class, and it's gonna be graded.
I think of what you're
It
getting.
actually
I think what you're
counts.
getting to, John, is there needs to be more on. There needs to be more of this tracking and more stuff done by the classroom teachers. To
Yes.
give us more. And I think that's fair.
They don't have time.
I think it's fair. They
I'm
can keep
sorry,
the
what did you
records.
say?
They don't have time.
That's bullshit.
It's busy.
I'm sorry.
Listen, no, we're not gonna do that, but here's what we are gonna do. He can look into, maybe there's other ways to maybe do some classroom benchmarking.
Will we get some teaching assistants, we get them more support in
You
the
have
class, or?
45 teaching assistants and 54 teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot
How
of
many
those-
more do you want?
A lot of those are special education. Man, careful. Careful what you're saying.
Let's continue on. We'll just keep going through. So this is the 6-8 reading, this is the growth, limited growth again. And I think, we're seeing that, and maybe conversations need to be had at the middle school level on more appropriate benchmarkings.
Sorry, I'm also playing.
And here's your math diagnostics from the beginning of the year for grades K through 5. So pretty good, starting off at the beginning of the year. And just the breakdown of math. Again, kindergarten starts off fresh. Pretty good for beginning, and these will change especially once we start to collect data from the middle of the year. Okay. And your diagnostic growth for K-5 math. So students made about 111% growth on their targeted goals. And here's your math for 6 to 8. And then the breakdown from the beginning of the year. 33, 44, and there's something also to note, with the 6th grade, I feel like their numbers are a little bit different. We also have, in the 6th grade, more students with IEPs in the 6th grade. So, they are coming in, they're going to be a few grade levels behind, especially if some of them we have learning, students with learning disabilities. And here's their diagnostic growth. So they did make good growth last year towards goals. Okay, and these are our current AIS placements. At kindergarten, we have push-in until we can start to establish, and identify those students that need AIS services at the kindergarten level. But that's just their current breakdown, and this was, I believe this has changed at 8th grade. We do have students in the reading AIS now since this PowerPoint was made. Okay, and then next steps. And, so some of the next things that we've, started to think about doing to promote the student achievement, to promote buy-in with students. Teachers are going to start, or they have been, hosting student conferences after their benchmarking, having those conversations with students about, where they are and how much they've grown, and encouraging them to take it seriously. Teacher-led incentives to promote growth. We do have teachers that have, some iReady charts, and when students make growth, they let them color in their charts. Some just engaging things, hands-on things to encourage students to think about growth and to have those goals and to work towards those. Where we'd like to continue tailoring professional development to increase, the diagnostic tools that we have. How can we use those to enhance our instruction? This past Superintendent's Conference Day, we did have someone from Reading A to Z to come in and show about different toolkits that were accessible to teachers to help enhance their instruction. We have been focusing on PLCs this year, and a good chunk of our PLCs is focused on looking at these benchmarking data and thinking about what interventions could be used. If students are reading below grade level and they're struggling with vocabulary, what type of interventions can we target to those specific students to help increase their growth in that area. Benchmark meetings, so these are great because we actually do run through every student that we have in our district and look at their weaknesses and look at what supports we can provide them. If it's sometimes it's AIS, sometimes it's more behavioral supports or things of that nature, but it actually gives us time to go through and discuss students. And then we have been looking at restructuring the delivery of testing, and Jess Mako and I met with Amanda Lucas, who teaches 7th and 8th grade, and she's been great to give us some ideas. One thing that she noticed as to why maybe the 7th and 8th grade students weren't taking it as seriously is we were doing it in their class period, and you have 40 minutes, so it's chunked, so it's not, you're sitting there, you have an extended amount of time to test. So we've restructured it, and we're going to be piloting this week to have them test. They'll have about 2 hours to take the test in a space that's structured. So we're hoping that, you know, maybe being in a testing spot that's more structured, they have the time to take the test, that it won't be rushed.
How many questions are on the test?
There's no exact, it just keeps going until the student scores a certain percentage. So some students have more questions than others. It just depends on, you know, how many they get right.
Oh,
It just kind of keeps going, yeah. It adjusts to their level. Okay. And that's it. So again, the benchmark testing for the middle of the year is starting. So, you know, I would encourage, you know, Jess to maybe kind of put something together to see, you know, how it's changed from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Steve, building maintenance report, sir.
Okay. With the colder weather that's come across, spend a lot of my time working on uni events and keeping everybody comfortable. And I think we've made some big improvements because I see a lot of the rooms when I look at the graphs on my computers. They all seem to be in the range that you would expect for the whole school. So things seems to be going. I do have some hiccups here and there that we have to go in and take care of. Over the holiday week, all my guys and everybody was extremely busy. One thing that I wanted to make sure got done was filters throughout the whole building. Every unit vent got pulled apart, vacuumed, oiled, and put back together. That to me was important, keeping up on the preventative maintenance. We did painting on some rooms that needed to get done. And got them looking better. We're trying some different floor sealers and stuff. I'm investigating pricing. We've always used Betco hard as nails. I'm looking at working with Chris on stuff. He's taught me about price points and all that good stuff, you know. So I'm looking at I'm looking at different things. We've changed out. We weren't getting good service out of a Ramsco, and I'm talking with Tom Doherty from Santa Coast, so we've kind of changed our vendors over a little bit, getting a little bit difference in pricing, and also Buckeye floor sealer. I've tried over the holidays. We're experimenting with that. Had some free stuff given to us, Buckeye, and I'm trying it on a couple of floors. I want to see how it holds up, and also cost difference between the two. So I'm trying a few things on that. Been a lot of work on the plumbing and electrical for the steamer. They're buying a new steamer for the kitchen. The other one was so far outdated, we couldn't get any parts for it anymore. They haven't made that in years.
Build
So
a fire underneath it.
yeah, basically, yeah. And it's a $30,000 item, that steamer, but it is under a grant. So that they've had the opportunity to get it, and it should be in a couple of weeks. So been busy making sure. It needed different piping, more water than what the old one was. So we've had to make some changes and to accommodate this new steamer. So different power, different plumbing. So been working on that. Again, we're all ready, just about ready for them to come with it and get it down there, which I'm glad they're doing it, because it has to come down the stairs, and it's a fairly heavy, big unit. So I was very thankful that's part of the equation.
It was a good thing.
I don't want anything to happen to it on my watch. And the last but not least, I've been trying to do a lot of stuff with the capital project. There's so much going on different things, and I wanna get everything taken care of that I know that really needs to happen. So I'm working closely with Pam Hamill and the rest of the crew there to make sure that certain things get taken care of. Things that not everybody can see, but I do. And so I'm looking at different things to get that set. Other than that, that's what I've been doing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see, we're gonna go into the consent agenda. So I'd like a motion to approve the previous board minutes. Chris and Ken, any discussion? All in favor? Subject B, approve the treasurer reports, warrants and claims. Motion, Chris. Ken, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Approve the CSE, CPSE recommendations. Motion. Chris and Audra, any discussion? Nope. All in favor? Aye.
Did we skip over the discussion section?
What's that? Did we skip over it? Oh, probably because it wasn't on my printed copy.
A lot of it, some of it had to do with Mallory's presentation.
Yes.
No, it was just the discussion from section 6. I know that
I'm
we
sorry.
kind of just scanned over a lot of the stuff during it. I just wanted to make sure that we knew we missed it.
Yeah, no, well, I printed this off the other day.
Oh, okay.
Discussion items, let's go back. Superintendent's assessment on the current curriculum. Did you have anything to add other than what we already talked about?
A lot of it is similar. I think a lot of, because I'm just really getting the opportunity to really get to that aspect of things because of the year as it's been. It also kind of ties into a lot of the roundtable discussions, our need to really make sure that we have strong early intervention programs to catch kids early. Kids are not, and this isn't unique to Fort Edward by any means, kids are not read to at home like they used to be. Kids are not, they do not practice their spelling words with somebody at home like used to be standard practice in every home. So what we're getting to start from is different than generations before us. And so we have to make sure that not only our school day is set up to maximize our time to instruct them, we also need to have other early intervention programs, including a really robust summer program and anything else we can come up with to catch our students. I also, taking that to the other end, and I learned this early in my career, we spend a lot of time working on those, working with students and families, as we should, that need remediation. We also need to spend as much time with those students that are doing just fine and are ready to soar, and give them the same amount of opportunity to get what they need to take it to that next level, as we do those students that we're trying to get just to baseline. And I think those are a couple of things that really jump out at me as an outsider coming in, and the mentality that we have as an institution as a whole. And that's one reason why we're taking a strong approach with the midterms this year in the region. Academics are important, and we can't lose focus. We expect you to come here and work hard as a student, and then we're going to do our best to make sure we give you an opportunity to play hard with all the other things that Fort Edward does for kids and things that we want to do for them in the future. We want them to also never lose sight of the fact they got to be a student first. From an outsider, I'm not sure that mentality with our students is there.
Well, I can tell you what, because the thing you just said, all the things Fort Edward gives them is nothing. When we fix that, you will have done a great thing.
Do we still do
Because you gotta give them, you have to give the kids that don't wanna be here a reason to be here.
Something to be here.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
It's all interconnected, Chris.
You're right, and I'm glad that you're looking at both. Because if they come here and they got, you know, there's a reason they wanna come, you're gonna see attendance go up, you're gonna see learning go up. just has, I want happy kids here. They want to be here. And I think that's
Happy kids do
achievable.
better.
I think it's achievable. The school's small.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Happy kids do better.
As far as, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
I'm just gonna jump to the other two real quick. I know we have a strong relationship with SUNY, but in our CT, we've already talked about it. I don't think we need to go to that, but I know we feel strongly as an administrative team and our guidance counselor, there's as much value as getting students to go off to a collegiate program as there is a vocational program this day and age. And in fact, students that get some CTE often go on for, and are required to go on for more advanced training anyways. That's the equivalent of a lot of engineering schools, just in a different, very focused area. So there's real genuine support here that I feel from folks that need to be in order to make sure any student that leaves here is going to be supported in whatever direction they choose, as long as we give them the baseline first, and that goes back to the academic piece. So it's all interconnected. So.
And Ben, I mean, I believe, you could correct me if I'm wrong, like, it's the beginning that we really got to start really focusing on, isn't it? The base, the strength of what their foundation of whatever in ELA and in math.
Yep.
And really, if you get them early, if you don't, once they start going into, like, say they don't know their facts and they get into long division.
Every year that passes.
What happens then?
Every year that passes that they're deficient, the deficit is exponential.
Snowballs.
Yes, it's
Right.
exponential gap. So that's where that emphasis and early intervention has to
I
be
get
in
it.
place.
It's refreshing to hear that.
Every year that we don't get them caught up, it's exponential the following year from what it was before.
And never forget, if you have a kid that comes into the district, like mine at 3rd grade, and he was in special reading classes and things like that, got the most amazing 2 teachers in the beginning here, and blew up, and blossomed into a great student.
That's
So
the
sometimes
goal.
you
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
ones that have come in that haven't started their base here, and they've started,
Yeah.
and all of a
that's
sudden they've
good
been
thing.
given a chance, so it
It's a
it
good
goes
thing, but
into
it
it.
says something about the kid too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it goes to ways.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just to have the best chance, right, start early, I think.
Yeah. Maybe the mother too.
She's a pretty good mom.
All right. Got anything else?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
So we're down to action items. So number 8A, agreement with Washington County Public Health for their services provided by Fort Edward. Does anybody need to see that? Does everybody need a motion to accept that? Chris, Ken, any discussion? All in favor? Donation from Angela Hooper. Accept a generous donation of school supplies from Angela Hooper. I'd like a motion to accept those supplies. Ken and Audra, all in favor? Thank you so much. Donation from the Tri-County United Way. Accept a generous donation of winter accessories, including coats, hats, scarves, and blankets from the Tri-County United Way. Make a motion to accept those items. Sarah and Ken. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Football merger. We merged with Hudson Falls last year. And I need a motion to approve the football merger for all levels. Chris and Sarah, any discussion? All in favor? And then the golf merger, as normal, motion to approve the golf merger all levels between Fort Edward and Argyle. Sarah and Audra, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. And we are down to personnel. I don't think there's any surprises here. Is everybody looking at that? Anybody have any surprises on there that they are aware of? I think we're all like to approve A, B, C, D, E, H. No, let's go A, B, C, D, E. Motion to approve those 5. Chris, Sarah, Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Excuse me. So F. Where did she go? All right. So this one is. Approve the probationary appointment of Cynthia Blanchard as school LPN effective on February 24th, 2025. Rate of pay at $28,000 prorated as per the FES contract with a 26-week probationary period ending in August 24th, 2025. A motion to approve that. Audra, Sarah, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Moving to G, unpaid leave. From Ms. Blanchard, approve the unpaid administrative leave of Cynthia Blanchard, school licensed practical nurse, effective April 21st through April 22nd, 2025. Need a motion to approve that. Audra, second is Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I would like it reread, if you don't mind.
Sure. Approve the unpaid administrative leave of Cynthia Blanchard, school licensed practical nurse, effective April 21st, 2025 through April 22nd, 2025. The 1 day of unpaid leave.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like the Monday, Tuesday.
I was trying to see if it was.
She's got a pre-planned
I was trying to see if
vacation that falls
if I
in the
missed
spring
something,
break.
it was
We talked
a
about
period.
it. That's what I was trying to remember. I thought we talked about it.
Yeah, we had discussed this before, so. So I had Audra and Sarah, we had our discussion, all in favor? Aye. Retirement. Accept the letter of resignation with intent to retire from Kristen Maury, effective June 30th. Need a motion? Ken and Chris, any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All in favor? And then the resignation of Mallory Lansley as Director of Pupil Services, effective the end of business on February 4th. Sorry, can't go.
No, don't accept.
Need a motion? Chris?
You don't get a second.
Need a second? Ken? All in favor of not of her leaving, but her resignation? Motion carried. Changing coaching title and rate of pay. Caitlin Singleton was appointed on the board on July 2nd, 2024, girls varsity basketball coach, effective the 2nd at a rate of $4,925 as per the FIDA contract. It was not a girls varsity basketball team, and Caitlin Singleton coached the girls JV basketball instead. Therefore, be resolved that Caitlin Singleton shall be appointed as girls JV basketball coach, effective July 2nd at the rate of $4,325, which is scale B, year 3, as per the FIDA contract. Need a motion to approve. Chris, Sarah, any discussion? All in favor? And do we have any public comments, Casey?
Do not.
No?
No, I still don't.
Who's that? You got something? No. Sure? Okay.
I think you should make him speak.
I think we should.
He's an intern.
I was gonna say, he gets extra credit hours for that.
Yeah.
I think you do.
What's your name again?
It's tortured at a board meeting.
Don't you want to know?
We're gonna go into
Do we
executive.
have any action coming out?
What's that?
Do we have any action coming out? Is it?
Negative, we do not. So, this will be it till we come back, and hopefully this won't take too long. Need a motion to go into executive session. Chris, Sarah, all in favor?
I'll tell you.
So I'm just sorry I yelled at you.
Okay, we'll have her tell me.
Right online.
Okay, we're good.
Bring to her attention that kids aren't so they're not doing the things that they're not, she does nothing about it, you're not meeting their needs. You're not meeting their.
Need a motion to re-enter our official meeting? Ken, Sarah,
And it's been happening the whole time.
all in favor? Need a motion to adjourn the meeting? Chris, Sarah, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Now it's your pretty birthday.
Now, sure.
All right. Oh, sorry, audience, everybody. Didn't mean to yell at you.
That's gonna be you guys.
Sometimes I do that, and I remember that in my old place.